to the days before her love, when she had lived in a desolation of bleak poverty, up and away along Lone River in her father's shack. This log house of Pierre's was a castle by contrast. Joan Carver and his daughter had shared one room between them, Joan's bed curtained off with gunny sacking in a corner. She slept on hides and rolled herself up in old dingy patchwork quilts and worn blankets. On winter mornings she would wake covered with the snow that had sifted in between the ill-matched logs. There had been a stove, one leg gone and substituted for by a huge cobblestone. There had been two chairs, a long box, a table, shelves, all rudely made by John. There had been guns and traps and snowshoes, hides, skins, the wings of birds, a couple of fishing rods. John made his living by legal and illegal trapping and killing. He had looked like a trapped or hunted creature himself, small, furtive, very dark, with long fingers always working over his mouth, a great crooked nose, a hideous man, surely a hideous father. He hardly ever spoke, but sometimes, coming home from the town which he visited several times a year, but to which he had never taken Joan, he would sit down over the stove and go over heavily, for Joan's benefit, the story of his crime and his escape. Joan always told herself that she would not listen. Whatever he said, she would stop her ears. But always the story fascinated her, held her. Eyes widened on the figure by the stove. He had sat huddled in his chair, gnome-like, his face contorting with the emotions of the story, his own brilliant eyes fixed on the round, red mouth of the stove. The reflection of this scarlet circle was hideously noticeable in his pupils. "A man's a right to kill his woman if she ain't honest with him," so the story began. "If he finds out she's been trickin' on him, playin' him off for another man. That was your mother, gal. She was a bad woman." There followed a coarse and vivid description of her badness and the manner of it. "That kind of thing no man can let pass by in his wife. I found her," again the rude details of his discovery, "and I found him, and I let him go for the white-livered coward he was, but her I killed. I shot her dead after she'd said her prayers and asked God's mercy on her soul. Then I walked off, but they cotched me and I was tried. They didn't swing me. Out in them parts they knowed I was in my rights, so the boys held, but 'twas a life sentence. They took me by rail down to Dawson, and I give 'em the slip, handcuffs and all. Perhaps 'twas only a half-hearted chase they made for me. Some of them fellers maybe had wives of their own." He always stopped to laugh at this point. "And I cut off up country till I come to a smithy at the edge of a town. I hung round for a spell till the smith he'd gone off and I'd got into his place and rid me of the handcuffs. 'Twas a job, but I wasn't cotched at it and I made myself free." Followed the story of his wanderings and his hardships and his coming to Lone River and setting out his traps. "In them days there weren't no law agin trappin' beaver. A man could make a honest livin'. Now they've took and made laws agin a man's bread and butter. I ask you, if 'tain't wrong on a Tuesday to trap your beaver, why 'tain't wrong the follerin' Tuesday? I don't see it, just because some fellers back there has made a law agin it to suit theirselves. Anyway, the market for beaver hides is still prime. Maybe I'll leave you a fortune, gal. I've saved you from badness anyhow. I risked a lot to go back and get you, but I done it. You was playin' out in front of your aunt's house when I came for you. You was a 3-year-old and a big youngster. Says I